Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be making my first video on using the pop-up book die set so that I can make a pop-up spell book using this new die set from her Halloween collection. This one is called the Spellbook Cover Plate Metal Craft Die for A7 size. So this is huge. It's a 5x7 pop-up box. I did go ahead and make, because I had to play, I did go ahead and make my first book, and I think this turned out pretty good, but I wanted to show you guys how to do this, so we're going to be making another one today. By the way, I am recording this while live over on Twitch, so if there's anything weird that happens on the screen or anything that I don't get edited out, just know it's because I go live on Twitch once a week, and a lot of times I'll be recording one of the videos, and you guys can always join me for the live over there as well. So we're going to start off with this die. This is from the book die set, and it is just under 5.5 inches. So I need to use my 8.5 and 11 cardstock, and I'm just going to cut it in half at 5.5. And I'm actually going to need to do this 4 times. So we're going to go ahead and cut this guy out 4 times with my Platinum 6. Okay, I'm going to also just use my regular magic mat. Love my magic mat. And to make it a little bit easier to be able to put it at a little bit of an angle, I'm also going to trim off the top up here. And the reason that I'm die cutting this, you wouldn't actually have to make something like this, but it does make it easier. In my opinion, having die cuts makes everything just a little bit easier for you to get done. And you'll probably notice I am putting that in at a little bit of an angle. The size of my machine means that that's as much of an angle as I can actually do. And we're going to go ahead and run that through. And I need to do this 4 times. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces done. So this, what it does is it cuts out a rectangle, but it also has these embossed lines or debossing lines to show you exactly where to fold it. Okay. Also, the way that this is going to work, we're going to have 2 for the sides and then 2 for the top and bottom, meaning 2 of these are actually bigger than what we need because we need it to fit A7, right? So this measures 7 by 5. Okay, so I need 2 pieces that are going to be 5 to go across. So I'm just going to trim those down. I believe it's actually 4 3/4 because we wanted to make it a little bit smaller. So this is 4 3/4. So if I cut it at 4.5, I think. So now that I've got everything cut down, and like I said, I may do a little tweaking as well. And this is going by her instructions on her videos. She has got lots of videos where she makes these cards. So we've got the little score line across there. And I'm just going to use, I'm going to use the edge of my desk. I've got my glass mat here, and I'm going to run this over the edge, kind of like that, to just make sure I've got a straight line to be able to bend it. So you see that? And we're just going to accordion fold all of this. That's all we're doing is just accordion folding. Just like the fans that we used to make in elementary school, or for me, because I'm from Alabama and it was friggin' hot. Also, another thing that I just remembered from last time is I used my nails to kind of give me a guide right there. So I put it into where the emboss is, put it in there, and then I can just fold it down better. So now we have our 4 pieces, and we're going to start assembling things. What you need to use is some double stick tape for this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a few pieces of that. And they need to be about 1/4 inch-ish. And this is what's going to hold all of our pages. That's what these are. That's what's going to hold all of our pages together. I'm going to just start off with 4 pieces of tape. And then the way that these are going to go together, this is going to be the top of our book. This is going to be the side of our book. And we need these to, they basically are just going to squeeze in together. The way that it works is you're going to have, the folds are going to go over each other. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay. So they go together like that. It's going to all squeeze together. I'm going to go ahead and just assemble the side, and then I can decide if I want to trim everything down or not. The way we're going to put these together, like I said, we've got them inserted into each other, lifting one of the sides, and we're going to put some tape right there on the corner. I'm putting down 2 pieces because I have 1/4 inch tape, and this is actually about a 1/2 inch. So if you have 1/2 inch tape, that's going to work better. Now I need to put that back in there the way I had it. Again, we've got a mountain going over the fold, over the valley on the other side. So I think that's, I'm trying to find a way that's going to be best to explain what I'm doing. And then squeeze it in tight and then press that down. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And the more that you do this, the faster you're going to be able to go. Okay, so there we go. We have one side right there. I'm going to go ahead and assemble this part on the other side, getting out some more of that double-sided tape. Okay, there we go. Now I can do the other side. Fabulous. Squeezing it in tight and pressing it down. So now we have 2 sides done. All we need to do is put the other side down. It's the same exact process. Squishing all of that together right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some tape down. So first off, I just wanted to make sure that I knew where the tape was going to go. I'm going to only put it on one side, and then I'm going to start adjusting as I go. So it is definitely easier to put the tape down. You squish everything together, but that's just one of those things that's just going to take me some practice to get better. So I think I need to do books a lot, and y'all have to let me know if this is something that you want to see more of. So let me know down in the comments what kind of book you'd like to see me make. Okay, squeezing that up tight. The only part that I really need to think about right now is this end over here. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and put all of the bits, the pieces in where they go. Because it is mountain, valley, mountain, valley. There we go. Squeezing that on in. So now we've got, basically we have a frame here. That is a spring. That's going to be our pages. Okay, so now that we have the pages part of our book, we're going to use one of the dies from the rest of this set. Like I said, I think it's the book pop-up. I will definitely look that up, and I will put it up on the screen somewhere here so you guys have got access to it. So this one is a little bit wider. This one is actually 5 3/4 wide by 7. So that means that it is basically going to be the full width, almost the entire width in between when I'm running it through. So this is actually a 6-inch. My Platinum 6 has a 6-inch place to go through it, right? Well, that's one reason why this is going to be a tight fit. So I'm going to cut off a 5-inch piece. So this is going to be what we're going to be cutting our spine and cover out of. Do that again. And I will just put the 5-inch pieces off to the side, and we will use them in a bit. And because this is such a tight squeeze, I'm going to tape it down with some Best Ever Craft tape. I could use the magnetic magic map, but I think that that is basically just going to be a waste of the magnetic side. Because to my knowledge, it's probably not going to last as long. If I use it all the time, it's not going to last as long as my regular magic map. So I still have some experimenting and such to do. So you can see this is going to be a little bit hard to try to do any kind of an angle with. And we always, right, especially for our right angles, we try to turn it at a little bit of an angle to make it cut a little easier. So I'm trimming off the edge on this one too to try to get a little tiny sliver of an angle, and doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get much of one. I'm going to go ahead and cut that through. That also means it will be doing the embossed lines for us to show us where to fold. But if it doesn't cut all the way through, these are straight lines. So that means we should be able to do it no problem with our paper trimmer. Okay, so it didn't cut through all the way. Like I said, it's because of the size of my die cutting machine, and I could not angle the dies. Okay, so on this we've got these little lines here, and those are our basically our fold lines. The one in the center is the one that you're able to fold. This one in the center is so that you can fold the book flat. Okay, so we're going to do that on both of them, and this one needs to be trimmed as well, and I forgot to do that one. There we go. And we're going to, again, fold on those lines. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our double-sided tape again, and we're going to add it on the inside those score lines during that entire spine, because that's what this is. That's going to be the spine of our book. My tape is 1/4 inch. If you have 1/2 inch, you only need a couple of pieces. I'm actually going to add 3. And then we're going to want to put it together this way. So we've got the front of the book and the back of the book. I'm going to line it up here, right along the edge on both sides of the top and the bottom. So I have it straight, because I have done it so many times. So many different boxes where I did not line it straight. Then I'm able to fold that over, and now we've got our front and back cover and our spine all perfectly aligned. So I picked out one of the pattern papers with some help from my friends, and I'm going to trim this down. Now the size that we need it to be approximately 4.5 by 7. So I'm going to actually trim it a little bit smaller than that. I've also got out a pair of some Creative Memories collection old scissors. So you guys have probably got something like this in your stash, or you could possibly have one of the deckled edge trimmers from Sizzix, which I do not have. Let me double check and see how big I need this again. Again, it needs to, the inside of this is 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut this down to, I'm going to cut it to 4 3/4, and then I'll trim the edges and the side. So for this piece, this is going to be 7. Yes, this is a 7 inch. And the paper I currently have is 8.5. So if I cut off about 1.5 inches, then that will make it about the right height. And I am making it a little bit bigger than what I need, because I'm going to use these to kind of grunge up the edges. So this is bigger than what I need for both the inside and the outside. And what we're wanting to do is, it's going to be kind of like when you open up a book and it has that panel on the inside that's different. And then we're going to have it behind our frame here. So one of these really just needs to be cut small enough to fit, for this to fit over. So this is a little over 7. I think I want to keep the kitty there, so I'm just going to cut a little bit underneath them and use this as a guide to make sure. Yep, I do still have room. Okay. And then we're going to trim it this way. And again, using this as a guide, I can get away with about a 1/4 inch. So I'll cut it right at 4.5. And that is going to fit on the underside of my box here. Okay, so we can use double-sided tape or we can use liquid glue. I think I'm going to use both. So I'm going to go ahead and go pretty much near the edge on all of this. And one reason I'm using liquid glue for this is I want to make sure that I've got a little bit of wiggle room to move it around so I can make sure everything's centered. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and remove all of the release paper. And then we're going to add some glue over the top of that. And then position this right over the top there. And I can slide it around a little bit to make sure that it's on the inside. So I think what I'm going to do first is make sure that this side is lined up where I want it. And I'm going to use some clips to hold it in place. And this is basically just to hold everything in place while that liquid glue dries. So this one is the right size. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it down a little bit. And if it's a little bit small, that is totally fine. So this is right now at 7 inches. I'm just going to trim a little bit off of the edge and give it that little bit of a raggedy edge. Okay, let's see what it's going to look like on the inside. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So with the help of one of my buddies on Twitch, we picked out this pattern paper for the cover, and I need it to be, the cover needs to be 5 by 7. So I'm actually going to trim this a little bit bigger than 5 by 7 so that I can just trim the edges and I can make sure that everything fits. So I'm going to go with 5.5. And then this direction, we will go with, I'm going to go ahead and go with 7.5. And that's going to be more than big enough for the front of our book. Then we've got spider webs. I did go ahead and cut out like 4 of them. I need some adhesive sheets to do this, to make it easier. And I've got them somewhere. Where did I put them? Yeah, it sucks when you go through every single drawer and you still don't find what you're looking for. And this is something I don't really use all that often. There we go. This is what I was looking for. I was looking for some artist tack. Now what this is it got the sheets all have adhesive, but they're little tiny dots. So that means it's going to make it so the entire back of my frames are going to be covered in adhesive. It's kind of like dot runner adhesive, but I don't have to go and hunt for spots to try to add it with my glue gun or with my glue press. Okay, so this is our release paper, and then this has got all those little dots of adhesive. And I'm going to just put one of my frames down. And this is going to leave adhesive in the center. So we're going to be good there. Now I'll just put my release paper back over the top and burnish everything in so all those little pieces of adhesive can grab a hold. Pull the release paper back off. And now when I pull this frame off, you can see all that adhesive on the back. And this sheet can still be used because the rest of it has got adhesive on, other than what I just took off with my hand. Okay. I'm going to line up, this is a clean one, going over the top of the one with the adhesive, and I'm just starting at the bottom and lining everything up. And they might still be a little bit off, but that's fine. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to put it back onto my artist tack, move it over a little bit so that I can pick up more of the adhesive that wasn't already used. Place that down, and we're going to burnish that one down again. So this last layer, I think I am going to just put it down with some liquid glue. Now it is firm enough that it's going to be not so hard for me to actually add the glue on. And of course I changed my mind. I'm going to do it again with the artist tack. Except I think I don't have enough left on that sheet. That's okay. We'll go ahead and just use some glue. Okay, so I'm going to try to line it up so that our skellies are all basically straight. And yeah, now it's time for a big acrylic block to hold everything in place while that glue has a chance to dry. So now that that is adhered down, we can start trimming it up right up against the edge. Okay, that looks like it's going to fit pretty well. Fabulous. Let's go ahead and add some glue to the back. And yes, like I do so often, I am building my card or building my project as I go. That looks good. I do want to add a little bit of black though to the edges here because I don't like that white showing. So I'm just going to take a marker. I'm grabbing out one of my Spectrum Noirs just because they're close. And just going to color that edge there. And then I'm going to put my acrylic block back over the top to make that adhere a little better. Give that time to dry. Okay, so I've cut out a bunch of things, and here again is the front of our spell book, and I did go ahead and put the bubbles on the inside, actually, the potion into the cauldron. I'm going to use one of these, and again, another piece of the same pattern paper that we did for the front of our book. And just positioning that right down onto the frame. And then we'll glue this down right in the center of our book cover. Okay. And then we're going to put our cauldron right there in the front. I do still have to cut out the words. I haven't decided what color to go with, whether I want to go with black or white or both. Or since we have green in our cauldron, we could go with that. I also cut out the bubbles. Now for this part, I went ahead and put some tape across the back to keep them in place. Did still lose a couple, but that's okay. Now I'm going to add some glue down just to the back of our bubbles and put them in place onto the front of the card. And let's hold them in place for a second so they can have a chance to grab that shiny pattern paper. And then I'm going to just take off the tape, and hopefully everything will still be down. Looks like I may have pulled up a couple of pieces, but I'm going to say that that is okay. So now we have a few little bubbles coming up out of our cauldron. I've also got some kitties and spiders for this. I do want to layer at least one of my, I'm going to layer one of my cats on top of the cat there. You have a little bit of dimension. And now I need a sentiment, and then we also need to decorate the inside. Okay, so now we can add our spells and potions. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue to the back of it. I'm just using some glue I'll put on the back of my hand. And then we'll put them in place. Okay, and the glue is going to dry back clear, so we are good with that. Now, I think I want some sparkle on here, so this one is a Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I'm just going to add some glittery goodness in our cauldron and on our bubbles. And after the sentiment dries, I think I'm going to add them to the sentiment too. And maybe onto the kitty. Haven't decided 100%. Next, I'm going to start assembling some things to go on the inside. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I cut out our sentiment, or rather one of the sentiments that says brews, charms, and elixirs. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm going to put white behind everything, but I want to keep all of the, in the words, I want to make sure that I've got all the pieces that I need for those. So I'm using some tape. I already taped it on the back to make sure I didn't lose anything, but I'm going to tape it across the front. This is just because I need those words. I don't want a piece inside of an E or an A or something like that to be lost when it needs to go back in place. That makes sense. So now I'm taking the tape that's on the back off of here. And looks like everything is still where it needs to be, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and take all of them out, but they're going to be adhered down to the tape. So this should pick up all of our letters. So I will have just the negative space, that's the wood. Okay, so I still have my letters here. And I'm going to adhere some white cardstock to the back of this. Now what I need to do is I need to get it back into place with just the pieces that would have popped out. So I'm going to remove the words and try to keep all of the inlay pieces inside there. Okay, so I've got the word elixirs here. And there is one little piece that is still stuck in there, so I'm going to keep this off to the side, and we're going to see if we can just glue these down in there real quick. Just do one word at a time. Okay, that's going to need to sit there for a minute so it can dry. Elixirs looks pretty good. We've got this little tiny piece right in there that needs to go on there, so I'm going to try adding that one. Actually, it goes right about there. There we go. So far, so good. Okay, next we're going to go with charms. Okay, so we've got the part from the C and part from the A. Okay, great. So it actually looks like it worked well. So there is our sign. Brews, charms, and elixirs that are going to hang right there. And I think what I'm going to just use is a couple of pieces of this cardstock. I'm just going to trim it down. That's going to be our connection. Okay, and then again, I'm going to pull all of this down here so I can see where I want everything. So the idea for the sign is just kind of hang, so it's going to actually be adhered about there, which means I probably don't need to have 4 shells. I'm going to go ahead and adhere the bottom one down, then start putting some things on top. And then we'll just glue that down onto the shelf. So I'm adhering these to the inside bits of the pages that are folded, so that it's going to just basically pop up. So we can put stuff behind it if we want to. Go ahead and put in our second shelf. Off to this other side. Yeah, the shelves I'm going to put all right up against the back, and then I can layer some other things on front, like I did the cauldron. Kind of not sure what else I want to do. Okay, we do have our 2 little poison bottles, and the reason I know they're poison is because they've got the skull and crossbones etched into them. So for that, I'm just going to use my white gel pen to fill in that part, assuming I can see it, so that they're going to be the skull and crossbones. Okay, that's going to be close enough. Not perfect, but that's okay. I'm basically just running my pen right around on the inside of there where I feel the grooves, but on this one it looks like it went a little bit outside. Not sure exactly why, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and start gluing the one that's already dry. Let's glue that down. And it was mostly dry, but that's still okay too. I'm also using a brown marker to add the little corks in. kind of thinking I want to put my cat over here. Do I want to put my cat on that one? Yeah, let's put our kitty over here beside a potion bottle. Yeah, he's probably not supposed to be getting that close to the poison, but he's not, he's misbehaving. Kitty is misbehaving. And then we've got our last shelf we're going to put up a little bit higher. Which is the main reason why I put the cat down a little bit further down, because I wanted to make sure that we had room for him. And now I'll put the potion bottle, the poison over here to the side. Okay, now we can put our sign in. Oh, I'm loving that. I do need to add something else, though, in here, though, that's going to be popping up. Because right now, the only parts that are part shadow box are the sign and the cauldron. So I need to think a little bit and do something more. So I decided that I needed more inside there. So I cut out this kitty from the Perfect Halloween Night. I think this is last year's collection. And should still be on the website. And so I cut out the kitty and I cut out the little green eyes. We're going to put the eyes on her and then we can put her in the book. And then we can layer her in there too. There we go. And there we go. We have a... I'm loving this. Oh my god. This is too cute. So now we have ourselves a Spells and Potions book. Oh, I was going to add some more glitter to the front. I just noticed that I didn't get that because this was not dry yet. So adding that to the words. I also have some spiders left that I have not added yet. So let's see where we want to tuck them in. So that is going to finish up this card, box, book, all the things. Anyway, that's going to finish up this three-dimensional pop-up book card using Scrappy Tales products. I pulled together four different die sets. Yeah, so you can bring all the stuff that's already in your stash with some new things and give it more life. And yeah, I love this one. This is so cute. I may wind up having to have this up on a shelf year round. Love this little book. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and be sure to check out the playlist, see more videos where I'm using Scrappy Tales products, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.